Today's GDP report, as you know, was not such a pleasant surprise. It shows the economy has shrunk another 6% since January. How much more time do you need before this administration starts to get blamed for this crisis?
Well, first of all, blame is not the issue. And we don't walk around with sitting here and having conversations, well, we got to avoid blame. The president's been very clear about taking responsibility to make sure we're going to make the right decisions. That's where his focus and energy is, not to how to figure out how to avoid blame. We have an important role in setting the policy choices to make sure that we get out of this.
Many economists predict the unemployment rate will keep rising through the end of the year, likely to leave at least 1 out of every 10 Americans out of work. Now, this stimulus package, of course, will create jobs for some, but what about the others?
The economic agenda is not just one, and as you know, not just one piece. We also have tax cuts that started to appear in people's paychecks. We also put in place an agenda for home ownership and refinancing. Because of the low rates, you have historic refinancings. So the economic agenda is not just the Recovery Act. It has had an impact. It continues to have an impact, but it is a piece, a significant piece, with a housing strategy, a small business strategy, an overall strategy on stabilizing the banking and financial industry. All of that has to come together.
Even if it works perfectly, though, might some people still be out of work?
No. Well, I think that's true at any moment. Will there be people that, didn't go get hired at the company they were fired from or laid off from, rather? That's going to happen. The question is, can they find a better paying job or another job? And we believe that if we stay on the strategy we're doing, that will happen.
The administration's idea of partnering with banks to buy up toxic assets may not work. Many big banks are pushing back, saying they want to be independent. They don't want to get hammered if they give people bonuses. They don't want to read about it on the front page of the newspapers. What if that plan doesn't work? What is plan B?
You keep saying, what if this doesn't work?
Well, you have to consider it, right?
Well, of course, but nobody would like it better than the president that we weren't involved in the financial institutions. The reason we are is they took risks that not only endangered their own financial health, but the financial health and well-being of the economy. And they turned to Washington to help them stabilize that situation. Some banks will not want to sell certain assets. Others will, and they'll decide to do that. Each are going to make individual decisions. But we think we have enough of the pieces in place and a strategy of how to get that stabilization to a point that, once again, the financial industry, rather than being a drag on the economy, can help it grow.
Why do you think the president is more popular than many of his policies? 58% of Americans disapproved of the administration providing financial aid to the banking industry. Only 47% approved of his plans for the auto industry. And yet his approval rating is 68.
Well,
why is that?
I think, and I've studied polls, unfortunately, kind of go through the public opinion data. The American people know that there's a president who's taken two things. One, their challenges seriously, and ran on a set of pledges, and surprisingly, unlike other politicians or in past, didn't change those pledges when he got to Washington and said, well, that was just a bunch of campaign pledges. He ran on an idea that he had to turn the economy around and meet the challenge head on. That's what happened with the Recovery Act. He ran on a pledge to control health care costs and has proposed a series of things that have to do that. He ran on a pledge that we have to create an alternative energy industry here in America so we lead in that field once again. And he proposed that and did things that already started that process. That he actually has followed through on what he ran on is what I think the American people are responding to. And two, that he's having an honest discussion with them.
Arlen Specter is now a Democrat. What do you think that says about the state of the GOP?
I don't think the Democrats should go running around saying, oh, this makes everything we've ever wanted. The reason we have grown as a party in the last 2 elections is because we've offered real solutions to the challenges the American people face every day. If you go back, though, 8 years ago, people in 2000 and 2002 were predicting the demise of the Democratic Party. And by 06 and 08, something else changed. If we're not attentive to why we got elected, what is our job here in public service, the American people will have us on a short leash. I think the Republican Party has to really look inside and say, what is it that we offer the American people as they face these challenges.
What is the biggest mistake you all have made in the first 100
Thank God
days?
you didn't ask my wife that question. She's got a long list. You got another half hour? I think that, you know, Katie, here's the way I look at it. Even in successes, in the Recovery Act, there were things that we could have done different. The key thing of any process, growing up, it's no different in government. Do you learn from your mistakes? You know, even in this, I think we've had a good set of 100 days. The question is, did we learn anything from that 100 days to make the next 200 or next 300 days better and improve the way we do it?
What's your greatest accomplishment?
A renewed sense of hope in America, in the sense that we can actually meet these challenges. They weren't so big that we couldn't do them. And if you have that type of confidence, there's nothing that can stop the American people.